All right, a little bit of a Monday morning market kind of exploration, so to speak. I want to draw your attention to something that kind of out of the blue. There's been a lot more interest in fancy serial number collecting, and especially the versions that are star notes. And I have to apologize first and foremost because I have been long taught that there are certain serial number sets that are only worthy of being pulled out of change, while everything else you would have to spend. All right, I've always said that, but now I think I'm going to change my stance on all of this based off of what I'm seeing. Now I've noticed it all throughout the summer. I would probably say that if I went back 6 months ago, I've noticed that there's been a spike in interest in fancy serial number collecting on currency. Now, notably, you want to find these type of notes on ones and fives, and the big reason why is that you're going to realize a lot more potential on the secondary market when you sell a $1 or a $5 bill. Let's take, for instance, this first note that you see on screen here. We're on eBay, by the way, and we're going to look at, a good page full of recent sales, and this is going to give you some serious insight as to what is going on. Like, there is a wildfire going on right now in the currency market. Again, just came out of nowhere. And this one right here, at first glance, doesn't look all that spectacular. It really doesn't. But fortunately, it's on a $5 bill. Now, again, this is probably an example of a note right here that even on a $5 bill, which is a relatively low denomination, this is the type of serial number that ideally you want to see on a $1 bill. All right, would you sell this $5 bill that you see here with binary 4s and 3s on the serial number for, let's see, so it ended up being $7, and then another $5.60 in shipping cost on top of that, so $12.60. On a $5 bill, that really doesn't seem like a whole lot of a return, right? Because you always have to factor in the face value. Kind of like, when you're buying and reselling online, whether it's through eBay, Shopify, or Amazon, there's always a cost for the items that you purchase to go and resell. If you resell frying pans for a living, as an example, your cost is going to be $3.50, and you're selling these things for $19.99. So obviously you have to back out that $3.50 out of every transaction, because that's your pure cost for that item. And that's not taking into account any other intangibles like shipping and taxes, if that applies. But on this type of note, this is the type of serial number that you want to try and discover on a $1 bill. Now, this is not too bad of a sale for a $5 bill. But also, one other thing that I noticed that probably stunted the potential growth of the money that was achieved for this, take a look at the time in which this note sold. 8 o'clock in the freaking morning, October 17th. That's today, by the way. All right, so this is really up to the date, kind of market activity that we're witnessing firsthand. You don't want to sell items where they're going to sell first thing in the morning. You're just not going to have enough awake bodies up at this hour, especially that you got to also put into perspective the people that collect these are a little bit older, along their life. But we are seeing also a spike in general interest all across the board throughout all age ranges. All right, and that's even going into the teens and 20-year-old something and others out there. They're actually headhunting for these. They're actually the ones that are pounding the pavement, going to the banks, buying big old thick stacks of $1,000 at a time, $1 bill stacks, and they're going and looking for these. By the way, $1 bills. And I know some of you, have shared with me that you don't like picking up currency for whatever reason. Maybe your emotions get a little bit they take over you a little bit and say, well, fiat currency is crap. I'm like, well, that's not the reason why you're going through it. All right. Putting aside your economical or political differences in this case. So that way you could turn a $1 bill into $10 or 20 or 100. You're going to see here exactly what I mean here in a moment, because there's some pretty ginormous sales. So selling a $1 bill with that type of fancy serial number is going to have a lot more better returns on your sale when that time occurs. But take a look at things like this. This is a 6 of a kind 4s. It used to be 5 years ago, you could sell this thing for like $2-3, and this person sold one for $10. All right. It's not actually that difficult to find a 6 in a row serial number. Finding the seven of a kinds and the solid 8-digit fancies, those are really, really difficult. Here's a serial number right here on the dollar bill. Now this is much more like it with 2s and 6s. The seller did list this at a minimum buy price at $30. So they ended up getting their one bid that they need, and therefore ended up selling that note for $35.30. That, ladies and gentlemen, is along the lines of what I'm seeing on the secondary market for a binary note. Is between $20 and $30. Where, again, 5 years ago, it used to be a $10 to $15 note, and then now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thing is, achieving nearly double, 2x the amount of value. I have a couple theories that I'm going to share. Let's just go through a few more of these notes. Again, anything October 17th to this point, because I'm doing this video at 9:30 in the morning, these are all sold way too early. Like this one right here, which is like a hybrid solid ones and a short ladder, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is an epic note. They were asking $55 for it. So it's sold for whatever it's sold for. I'm not going to bother to check, but I would be willing to guess probably like $40 because, that's just an overall neat serial number. So fancy low serial number, people today, they even see 6-digit serial numbers as being a low serial number, where me, I just don't see that. All right. But there are people, there are people that buy it, but consider the face value. They think it's a $20 bill and they sold it with shipping for $27.95. Keep in mind, eBay has to take their cut out of there. So this person probably ended up breaking even, but the last thing you want to do is actually lose money. If it's a $100 bill and then you end up selling that thing for, say, I don't know, $119, and then you only ended up making net $92 or something like that. I mean, that's a pretty bad feels. This one's cool. This is a 7 of a kind, or a 7 in a row. It's one and the same. Actually, they're a little bit different. 7 in a row means there's no disruptor number right in the middle of the thing. So you have 7 straight numbers are all the same. $150. Man, these have jumped up. I bought a few of those a few years ago for around $75. It used to be there was this big gap between like a 7 of a kind or 7 in a row to full solids. If that was solid 6s, that'd be $1,000 note all day long. So it's a pretty big jump in price. The valuation is just off the charts for solids. Here's another binary on an otherwise pretty well circulated $1 bill for $9. Again, this is real value, guys. Here's an almost binary for $7.77. They got their one bid in there. Here's a radar, which is one of the kind of like lower end fancy serial numbers on the totem pole, sold for $17 shipped. Pretty cool. Again, that's a $1 bill, and the note does exhibit quite a bit of wear on there. Here's a star note, but again, they're using that 6-digit low serial number argument for that, and therefore only achieved a few bucks. Duplicate serial numbers on star notes for 2013 are all the rage right now. Shannon Smith on the Livecoin Q&A is actually going to interview one of the main contributors to that program here in the near future, so stay tuned for that. Here's a 7 of a kind, 6s. This thing is, man, this thing's beat up. But even still, even with that kind of wear, it ended up selling before shipping for $12.50 with 5 bits. That was a late night sale right there. Here's a $20 bill with 5 of a kind ones that sold for $45. I mean, holy smokes. Here's another, this is a good one right here. So the best serial numbers to find that are like 7 of a kind or solids or, even binaries are 7s and 8s, because it's long been associated that these numbers are good luck. Like 8 in Chinese culture is an extremely lucky note, and you will find that if you have some of these notes with like 5 of a kind 8s or 6 of a kind 8s, they sell for a lot of money, and a lot of them end up going to someone who understands the Chinese culture for the number 8. So this one right here, this is 7 of a kind 7s. I mean, you can't get more perfect than that. $87 on a $1 bill, and that's 29 bits. Here's a binary for $27, so that's 1s and 6s. We got a couple, there's a $20 bill, too high of a denom. 5 of a kind 0s. I mean, that is the thing. On a $5 bill, $8 there. Here's a cool one. It's an almost super radar, which means you have 2 bookend numbers and then all solid of the same number right down the middle. So you have 6 of one number in the middle and then 2 of the same number on bookends. On a dollar bill, although this one has a 6 and a 7 on its ends there for $20. I mean, come on now. Those notes used to sell for nothing a few years ago. I mean, you can look at any of these. Here's a birthday note of sorts, January 1st, 2003. So someone's born on New Year's Day. That's pretty cool. Probably a $10 sale with shipping there. But you guys get the big idea. Here's a low serial number star. Now, this one's graded, sure. I mean, if it's a note that comes out of a freshly printed BEP pack or a strap, go ahead and grade it. Low serial number of only it's number 36 on the serial number with a star, sold for $236. So, yeah, we've seen anywhere from about 25% to as high as 100% increases on fancy serial numbers just within the last 6 months. And the big reason why, ladies and gentlemen, that we're seeing all of a sudden a spike in all of the interesting kind of serial numbers has to do with a couple factors. Okay, number one, and this is kind of like a popular website that everybody uses to look for star note production numbers that has all the tables and stuff on there. But there is also one extra feature that popped out of nowhere at one point. This has actually been on here for a little while now. But there's a fancy serial number checker. All right? And people that go on here to look at star notes, they also know at this point that there's a fancy serial number checker. And it gives you like a cool rating. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and type in one of the numbers I did see, which was almost a super repeater, 010101. I think the last one was like 06 or something. And when you hit check your serial number, it's going to give you an awesomeness rating. At least I would hope so. What's going on here? There you go. All right. So the rating for 01010106 is 98.5% coolness index. All right. And if you kind of clicked on this kind of question mark, this is a rating system created by coolnumbers.com. Read more about it here. So there's another a link that you would click, that here hyperlink. Very cool rating. And believe it or not, people are actually integrating this into their eBay listings. And it gives them so much more traction. And, depending on who you talk to that collect entities, and it doesn't have to be one of the high interest fancy serial numbers like solids, full ladders, radars, repeaters, and all of the above. But even just kind of like fringe interest type of serial numbers like this, where it's like one digit off, you would be surprised. They still sell for $5, $10, $15, $20. And it's an amazing revolution that we're seeing from these fancy serial numbers. And it gives you more data and all that great stuff, which is cool. And you integrate that into your eBay listings. And we have seen quite a bit of that here in the last year or so. Another thing that has kind of boosted the interest again with this particular segment of not only currency collecting, but numismatics has to be the new Facebook page for, I guess, I don't know if it's called cool serial numbers or it's like fancy serial numbers, but there are a lot of people that are very active on there. They'll share their finds. There's even a couple big time, I guess, whales, that, they share their big finds, like, their ladders, which are a few $1,000s and up, especially in uncirculated grades. I mean, it's a wealth of knowledge, and people love to, it's a great community. People love to go on there and really, just kind of bounce different serial numbers off of each other. They talk about everything. They even talk about star notes and errors and things of that nature. But we have seen a lot more general kind of like social media push for this, again, this segment of collecting. And not to mention some of the other guys on YouTube that promote it so much more than I do, Couch Collectibles has talked about things like fancy serial numbers. The new guy on the block, who's not so new really, the Coin Channel Tube, one of the biggest coin YouTubers out there and TikTokers, talks about fancy serial numbers quite a bit. And there's bigger presence on this fancy serial number deal than we all lead to believe. And it's going to continue to get bigger. There's going to be more meaningful patterns for all the folks that want birthday serial numbers, that care about a lucky number, or maybe a specific number that has some sort of sentimental meaning to their life. People are beginning to recognize that there is a deeper market for this. And it's crazy to think that you can turn a dollar bill into $10 or $20, but this is something that's not going to change with the advent of e-commerce and eBay and all of the online, selling and all that stuff. We're going to see the popularity of this continue to roll off the charts and into the stratosphere. And it's just not me. This was never a pump and dump, and it's never going to be that. It's not like we're speculating on a basketball player, who's in his first year, and we're kind of like pumping and pushing all and promoting everything that we can on the guys, so that way it artificially shoots the value of that particular prospect. It's not like that. This is something that has general overall interest to a wide base, man. The base is like super thick and wide. It's not even funny. It's like it's the biggest volcano on the face of the earth, that's just constantly spewing, ash clouds and all that stuff. But it hasn't like exploded, and we don't know if it's gonna do that. But it's continuously belching up big old rocks and ash clouds and all that stuff without a full blown eruption. So we'll see how everything goes with this. I would anticipate that there's going to be more folks that are going to be going to the banks and requesting more currency than we've ever seen before. And seeing as how we're in the middle of the holidays, it's just going to exacerbate it a lot more, because more people are spending with cash, even though there's been a lot of talk about cashless type of payment systems, and that's already the case. People are are doing their Venmos and their PayPal, payments and all that stuff, and that's fine. There's a time and place for that, but the BEP is still cranking out record levels of production of dollars. You can even go on the BEP website and check out the production. They tell you what serial numbers are being produced, for that particular week or that day or something like that. They'll even tell you what they produced last week, and it's just really cool. I mean, that's them being a little bit more in tune, engaged to the public, who's going to end up using these things. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Probably an unnecessarily long video, kind of talking a little bit about the emergence of fancy serial number collecting and the market. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video or the channel if you haven't done so already. And come check me out on TikTok as well. I am there at Blue Ridge Silverhound. Go ahead and give me a follow. All the extra support is greatly appreciative. But definitely check out these websites. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and check out the fancy serial number page as well. That's a lot of fun. You guys take care. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the next coin video.